And welcome back to War Thunder. In today's video I'm going to be showing you some realistic battles that I had last night, and they were nothing special. In fact, they were all pretty much mediocre. In fact, I played about a half dozen matches and I didn't get anything over 2 kills. So what I'm going to be showing you guys is the cut and splice portions of where I downed planes and also where I did fatal mistakes that ended up me being downed. And then I'm going to also show you portions where this happens, where my network connection just decides to bork out and my plane automatically assumes that the best course of action in order to fix such a situation is to fly into the ground. Why does it do that? Why can it not keep on flying in the same direction that you were flying before the packet loss? Why does it have to assume that flying into the ground is the best course of action? I don't know. It is what it is. So it started off with me playing with Asaka and his squadron, and I thought they were going to use tier 4 Japanese, but they ended up going out with tier 5 jets, which doesn't help the fact that I'm still using a tier 4 plane, but whatever, it is what it is. So here's me at the very back, calling out to all the other guys, hey guys, you know, have fun up there. I'll just be taking my diddly little time trying to catch up to you guys. I'll get the crumbs with whatever you guys have managed to kill off, but luckily for me, there was still a number of planes to take on, and it happened to be that all of them were pretty much down low, which is a bit strange. You'd think that they would be a bit higher, but whatever. They're all down low, and I thought that I would try to take on a P-80 as my first target, so I lost all my altitude to try and chase the P-80. Unfortunately, he's a jet, and he can still outspeed me if he wants to, even though I can dive down on top of him, but it is what it is. And so luckily for me, there was also some other planes that weren't jets that I could actually contend with. Now, I'm using the Kai-84 here, which is a really nice plane for the Japanese, totally different from the prior ones in the Japanese tech tree, where they're much more maneuverable. This one's much more B and Z like, and it has 4 cannons to it. And once you upgrade it, it has really nice belts because you can do mass damage with the high explosive rounds, like what I did to that dude right there. The default rounds, you get high explosive in it, but once you upgrade the belts, like the stealth rounds that I'm using, you get actually more high explosive rounds within that belt. And so you make quick work of enemies. Unfortunately, like Japanese planes, once I'm on fire, I'm probably gonna stay on fire. And so that's what happened. I ended up having a fiery death into my oblivion with my grave at the bottom of the sea. So the next match that I went out into, immediately, great start, more packet loss. This time I didn't actually fly into the ground, which is a good thing. Instead, I actually started flying upwards, and which made me a little bit nervous because every time I tried to balance it out, my plane still kept on going upwards, and it looked like it was going to stall, which, if you know what happens next after a stall, and if you have no control, means you're probably going to plummet to the ground. Now, as I was climbing through the clouds, I came across this, a B-29, my first ever B-29 encounter, and he didn't seem to stand much of a chance. The end of his wingtip coming off there died really quickly. Tempest is such an amazing plane. Unfortunately for me, I didn't realize that I think this plane actually overheats quite quickly. Well, I mean, relatively quickly. So much that my engine actually damaged itself, and when I came against a Bearcat, I tried to take it on. However, I thought that using my landing flaps might be a good idea. Nope, there was a recent change where going at anything which is a relatively low speed, such as like 220 kilometers per hour, means your flaps will rip off. Whether this is intentional or not, I don't actually know. However, I think it might be an intentional change because it happens to every single plane. Your flaps will rip off. So whether that actually put me at a disadvantage or an advantage, I don't know. I feel like that might have put me at a disadvantage against the Bearcat. So the Bearcat downed me, and that really sucked. So that meant that I had to move out into the next match, which happened to be with my LS7B20, which is an awesome plane for the USSR. Has 3 cannons with about 300 and something ammo to them, but that means that that's split between 3 cannons, which overall actually isn't a whole lot if you think about it. So I ended up climbing up into the sky when I spotted this. 2 B-17s right next to each other. Now I thought they might have been a squad, but they actually weren't. They were just 2 players that were huddled up together, moving together, strength in numbers, right? So I thought that this might be a good opportunity for me to try and go shoot down some of the enemy bombers. But, unfortunately, the B-17s have turrets in the side, and that means they could return fire. It'd be much more ideal if I could come underneath them, where they have some blind spots. Unfortunately, my bloodlust was in my eyes that I felt like I could really just shoot down both planes, especially if I have 3 cannons. So I tried to particularly aim within the inside of the wing where the engines are. Unfortunately, that just gave me some critical damage, but nothing lethal. So my teammate in the LA9 goes for 1 B-17, and both B-17s actually split off, which kind of sucks for me because I really wanted to down both of them. But, you know, I can't be too greedy. I have to share the spoils. And there's some enemy fighters actually behind me. So any sane player would have actually focused on the fighters. But I felt so confident that I could actually down these planes that, well, I took my chances. Unfortunately, it's not a good idea to come up behind a B-17 that close. And so I ended up getting caught on fire with no ammo left to spare. I thought I would try to ram, unfortunately. That didn't end up happening. I missed. So in the next match, rather than taking out the LA7B20 again, I went for the normal LA7, which has the same amount of ammo, however only 2 cannons. So that effectively means more ammo per cannon, but you only have 2 out of 3 of the firepower. Still, it's not the end, and I feel like that with this plane I had much more success. So this time, I see a B-17 below me, and so I decide to dive down on him. However, I've got another LA7 teammate who also wants the kill. I go in for my initial attack, do a little bit of damage, but I think if it's something that I learned from the previous match is that these B-17s are no cakewalks of taking on all the time. They seem to be able to take a pounding. Now, luckily for me, my teammate was on the receiving end of some of those shots, but unfortunately for me as well, I didn't get the kill. So I ended up taking damage for a kill assist, which I don't think is actually that worth it. But this time, another B-17, and you'd think after 3 B-17 encounters I would have learned my lesson by now. But nope, I decided to take my chances. However, this is going to be a different encounter, and one that is more successful. And one that I feel I might have to ask you guys for explaining. Look how fast he died this time. Now mind you, I'm going to look behind me, and there's an LA9. Now that LA9 might have actually helped in taking down that B-17, but if you noticed when I shot down that B-17, the tip of his wing came off, and that ended up him dying. Now, is it actually more worthwhile to shoot the tip of the wing or the inside of the wing where the engines are? I don't know. It seemed like my previous attempts at the inside of the wing towards the engines didn't produce fruit, but shooting out his wing from the tip seemed to have actually done something. So that's where I leave it to you guys asking that question. Is it better to shoot on the inside or the tip? What do you guys prefer? Now, I come against the Spitfire here, and normally you'd think this would be kind of stupid to engage the Spitfire in a turn fight, and I agree that normally would be stupid, but I'm using an LE7, and I'm confident with my hammerhead skills that once I slow down sufficiently enough that I can turn quite well on the Spitfire. And so I think he begins to panic and he goes a bit of a straight line, but that's enough of a window of an opportunity for me to shoot him down. So that's 2 kills this match, and you might think, well, what happened towards the end of this match? Did he get any more kills? Well, remember that first clip that I showed you right at the beginning, where I started to lose my network connection? Yeah, that was that match. So unfortunately, a good one that could have been even better turned out to be crap because my plane decided to commit suicide by flying into the ground. Anyway guys, this is some realistic battles, nothing special, quite mediocre matches, but I wanted to show you what I had last night. And I have a lot of fun playing realistic battles. But anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Do you want me to do more? Until the next one, this is Krebs, and I'll catch you guys next time.